Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. Today's article comes from collectiveevolution.com, and the headline here is U.S. Government Grants Patents for an Anti-Gravity Craft that Alters the Space-Time Around It. It was published on February 29, 2020, and it was written by Arjun Walia. This one's pretty amazing. In brief, the facts. The U.S. government has granted patents to multiple inventors, including the U.S. Navy, for technology that breaks the laws of physics. Reflect on how many technological developments are in existence that we don't know about. It wasn't long ago when government agencies and scientists would simply reject even talking about inventions that defy our known laws of physics. But things are changing because science is progressing. And if there's one thing that's constant, it's change. Change is even constant in physics. A great example I like to use is of the prominent physicist Lord Kelvin, who stated in the year 1900, "There is nothing new to be discovered in physics now. All that remains is a more and more precise measurement." It wasn't long after this statement when Einstein published his paper on special relativity. Einstein's theories challenged the accepted framework of knowledge at the time, and forced the scientific community to open up to an alternate view of reality. A paper titled "Outside the Box: Space and Terrestrial Transportation and Energy Technologies for the 21st Century," written by Professor Theodore Loader of the University of New Hampshire, reviews the development of anti-gravity research in the United States and emphasizes how research activity seemed to disappear by the mid-1950s. It then looks into recently reported scientific findings and witness testimonies that show us that this research and technology is alive and well, and very advanced. The revelations of findings in this area will alter dramatically our 20th century view of physics and technology and must be considered in planning for both energy and transportation needs in the 21st century. As far back as 2005, Patent 6960975 was granted on 1st of November to Boris Volson of Huntington, Indiana. It describes a space vehicle propelled by a superconducting shield, which alters the curvature of space-time outside the craft in a way that counteracts gravity. The device builds on a claim by the Russian physicist Eugene Podklevanov that superconductors can shield the effects of gravity. A patent filed by the United States Navy in 2016 describes a design for a craft as follows. A craft using an inertial mass reduction device comprises of an inner resonant cavity wall, an outer resonant cavity, and microwave emitters. The electrically charged outer resonant cavity wall and the electrically insulated inner resonant cavity wall form a resonant cavity. The microwave emitters create high-frequency electromagnetic waves throughout the resonant cavity, causing the resonant cavity to vibrate in an accelerated mode and create a local polarized vacuum outside the outer resonant cavity wall. That is a lot of resonant cavities to say in one paragraph. That was a true tongue twister. Now, when you actually watch this video, you'll just get me reading right through it. But let me tell you, when I actually recorded this, I must have done that 10 or 15 times, and I kept getting tongue-tied and messing it up. It was very funny. I should probably leave it in, but I won't. Shortly after the patent for the hybrid craft was approved in 2018, the inventor, Salvador Cesar Payas, presented another related paper, "Room Temperature Superconducting System for Use on a Hybrid Aerospace Undersea Craft," at the 2019 American Institute of Aeronautics and Aeronautics Sci-Tech Forum in San Diego this past January. In the paper, Pius writes that the achievement of room temperature superconductivity, RTSC, represents a highly disruptive technology, capable of a total paradigm shift in science and technology, and adds that its military and commercial value is considerable. The capabilities described in the paper should certainly sound familiar to anyone who's been following the Navy UFO stories over the last several years. It is possible to envision hybrid aerospace undersea craft, HAUC, which can function as a submersible craft capable of extreme underwater speeds, lack of water skin friction, and enhanced aerial underwater stealth capabilities, nonlinear scattering of RF and sonar signals. This hybrid craft would move with great ease through the air, space, and water mediums by being enclosed in a vacuum plasma bubble sheath due to the coupled effects of EM field-induced air-water particles repulsion and vacuum energy polarization. These types of technologies, or potential technologies, seem to be bringing up what's known as warp drive, or the Alcubierre drive. The concept involves basically placing a craft within a space that is moving faster than the speed of light. Therefore, the craft itself does not have to travel at the speed of light from its own type of propulsion system. It's easier to understand if you think of it in terms of a flat escalator in an airport. The escalator moves faster than you are walking. In this case, the space around the ship would be moving faster than the ship could fly, keeping all the matter of the ship intact. Therefore, we can move faster than light in a massless cloud of space-time. I'm going to pause for a second. A better way to explain that than using the escalator, because that's kind of confusing. A better way to explain that would be if you are on a train, okay, or an airplane, and you are sitting in your seat and you are traveling. Like if you're in an airplane, you're traveling, let's say 400 miles an hour or whatever, and you have to get up to go to the bathroom. Now, when you get up, you are still moving at 400 miles an hour, but you are static. As far as you know, you're static. You're not moving. But when you stand up and you walk to the bathroom, you are walking at a set speed, but you are also traveling through space at 400 miles an hour because you're on the plane that's moving at 400 miles an hour. If you are in a craft or something that is moving faster than the speed of light, you don't have to be moving past the speed of light when you're walking or moving around. You're still moving at your static speed, but you're being carried past the speed of light by the craft. That's a better way to explain what they're trying to say here than using an escalator, because using the escalator is just extremely confusing, to be honest with you. Okay, so back to the article. So rather than exceed the speed of light alone in a spacecraft would leap long distances by contracting space in front of it and expanding space behind it. This would result in travel faster than light. Physicist Miguel Alcubierre was the first that we know of to identify this possibility. He described it as remaining still on a flat piece of space-time inside a warp bubble that was made to move at superluminal faster than light velocities. We must not forget that space-time can be warped and distorted. It can be moved. But what about moving sections of space-time that are created by expanding space-time behind the ship and by contracting space-time in front of the ship? Here's another great paper on faster-than-light technology regarding altering the quantum vacuum by legendary physicist Dr. Eric Davis. The key is developing technology that can alter space-time, but also detecting that space-time, or as some like to call it, aether or dark matter, in some cases so it can be engineered. A similar concept was also recently illustrated by mathematician James Hill and Barry Cox at the University of Adelaide. They published a paper in the Journal Proceedings of the Royal Society, of Mathematical and Physical Sciences. But do these technologies actually exist? The defense patent applications are quite intriguing, and it means that the Navy is actually taking the concept quite seriously. But is there any evidence at all of their existence? That depends on what you consider to be evidence. We have statements from previously retired directors of Lockheed Martin aerospace programs, including the most recently retired, like Steve Justice. So what did Mr. Justice have to say? Well, a lot of things. One of the first statements he made using the To the Stars platform is that when it comes to the technologies he's been around, worked with, and seen, it would be an understatement to call them revolutionary. He stated that the technologies that him and his team and To the Stars are working on now are the same technologies that are employed by unidentified flying objects. In some cases, according to incident reports and interviews with military personnel, these vehicles descended from altitudes higher than 60,000 feet at supersonic speeds, only to suddenly stop and hover as low as 50 feet above the ocean. Christopher Mellon, Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary for Intelligence, from 1997 to 2002. Justice has said that he has had glimpses of how this type of technology works, and that his current team needs to harvest these technologies from the Science Division to realize their capabilities. Justice and his team have admitted to having access to materials from these UFOs, wherever they are from and whoever is making them. Over the last 3 months, To the Stars Academy has collected 7 pieces of material from multiple sources to study for the Atom Research Project. Each sample represents different elements of potential unidentified aerial phenomena and how they operate. According to the accompanying Provenance documentation, there are 2 classes of samples: material that was released as the UAP was hovering, and material that makes up parts of the structure or systems. According to Justice, the structure and composition of these materials are not from any known existing military or commercial application. They've been collected from sources with varying levels of chain of custody documentation. So we are focusing on verifiable facts and working to develop independent scientific proof of the material's properties and attributes. In some cases, the manufacturing technology required to fabricate the material is only now becoming available, but the material has been in documented possession since the mid-1990s. We currently have multiple material samples being analyzed by contracted laboratories and have plans to extend the scope of this study. If the claims associated with these assets can be validated and substantiated, then we can initiate work to transition them from being a technology to commercial and military capabilities. On multiple occasions, Justice has spoken of technologies that can alter the space-time metric. The mainstream has picked up on this multiple times, and here's an example from the New York Times. Again, it's unclear because there just isn't any solid proof, although I have no doubt that these technologies exist within the black budget world. After all, the Invention Secrecy Act, written up in 1951, states that patent applications on new inventions can be subject to secrecy orders. These orders can restrict their publication if government agencies believe that their disclosure would be harmful to national security. These days, national security seems to be used to protect elitist and corporate interests. That being said, it seems that they do exist if we consider the technological capabilities that have been observed in thousands of cases of UFO sightings and incidents. And that is the end of this article. So this was a long article, but it was a very interesting and important article. It was very sciencey and heady in parts, but let me bottom line it for you. The bottom line here is we are able to create spacecraft that have anti-gravity capabilities and can alter space-time, that are capable of performing and doing the things that we see UFOs doing, flying at super speeds, turning on a dime, stopping after going really fast, really quickly, all of those things. And it's also saying in this article that the materials that we use to create these craft don't exist in our normal civilization. They're not something that's being manufactured for any purpose anywhere. So this is technology that we have gotten from down spacecraft, and we have used this technology to replicate it and to create our own. That's essentially what is being said in this article. And that is backed up by a lot of other information that I've talked about on other shows. So I hope that you enjoyed this article. Let me know down in the comments section what you thought of it. And to me, it's a pretty groundbreaking article because they're admitting that we have this capability and that we can do it. Now, it's no surprise and it is no coincidence that in the 1950s that law was passed, the Secrecy Act, that allows them to cover up patents, and that this technology was being developed and worked on and all of a sudden disappeared off the face of the earth in the 50s. That is not a coincidence. It didn't disappear. It was continually worked on. It was just hidden and secret. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments what you think. And as always, it's up to you to decide. You make up your own damn mind. I love you, and I'll catch you on the next one. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.